Jack Ebling and Dan Kilbridge here at Breslin Center. Another full court press after Michigan State's 82-73 win over South Carolina. First half looked like Michigan State was in complete control, Dan, with that 17-point lead. What happened?
Well, they got a little sloppy. I mean, you saw them get sloppy at the beginning, but in the second half, just a lot of missed passes, guys having trouble on the inbound, so a lot of things that Izzo and company would like to clean up before they head to Maui.
We know they want to shoot better than 50% at the foul line, and anytime you miss 17 free throws, you have some problems. But Michigan State's guards had a lot of difficulty bringing the ball up court, balls bouncing off their feet, balls that they normally would catch, one-handed, slipped away. A lot of those kinds of things, and you just can't do that against a better team.
They did seem to have trouble with some of the traps South Carolina ran, particularly in the second half. Corey Lucius finished with 5 turnovers, 4 fouls, and 0 points, so not a good day for him. Kalen Lucas had 5 points, didn't contribute as much, had 6 assists in the first half, but overall, poor play from the guards, I think Izzo would feel, and something that they definitely need to improve on in the coming weeks here.
They were glad to see Kalen Lucas be able to come back in the game after a scary situation in the second half. Wasn't sure whether that was an Achilles again or just an ankle. Apparently he will be fine. But Keith Appling struggled, and as you said, Corey Lucius really couldn't put it together at all. Fortunately for Michigan State, they had some other guys who played very big, and when they say Darrell Summers left it all on the court, they weren't kidding. He threw up just before the second half started.
And sometimes that'll happen. You drink a little too much at halftime, maybe get the butterflies going. But either way, he did get a little bit on Corey Lucius, so I hope he can forgive him. But, on the court, he looked pretty good. He had his offense really going with 22 points. Again, on the rebounds, I think he's been consistently rebounding better this entire season, and he really put it all together. He's creating better. He's knowing when to shoot and when he can drive off the dribble, and that's something that he didn't have in his game a year or two ago, and I think it's really going to help the offense.
I'll say what I've said all season, and late last year, Michigan State's best player is Draymond Green, 18 points, 12 rebounds, 6 steals, 4 block shots. You name it, he did it. Another stat-stuffing performance for Draymond.
And still, you ask him after the game one word to sum up this game tonight, he says awful. So he takes that leadership role so seriously that he is not going to let guys slack. Even when he has the kind of success that he does, he puts the whole team on his shoulders. And when you're a team that sets out from the beginning to win a national championship and you make that your goal, that's the kind of things that need to happen. You need to get on guys, even when you win by 10, 15 points, and really make sure, that you can get on top of these inferior teams. Now, as Delvon Rowe said after the game, it's never going to be easy. There are going to be some ups and downs. Looking for the Spartans, this is only their second game of the season so far.
Delvon Rowe had an interesting night. First, he was in a play, As You Like It, over at the theater department, just changed his major. Maybe he can be in one of Greg Jones's movies. And then he comes out here and comes within 1 point of his career high, has his career high in assists. Really early in the game, I thought he was the difference.
Absolutely, and he got here about 8:30 tonight. Ran over from the theater, took a quick shower, got in the layup line, so that was really thrust into the limelight there. And I think, he got going very early. Keith Appling found him with a nice pass when he was wide open under the basket, and his offense just took off from there. He seemed a lot more confident, going to the hoop strong, got some free throw shooting in, although that wasn't great as far as the whole team like we discussed, but overall something that Delvon Rowe I think can really build on. He certainly looks a lot more explosive off of those knees than he did maybe a year or two ago.
He said he was 20 times more nervous on stage than he was out here at the basketball court, but he had a game that Michigan State really needed tonight, and if one of those 3 guys, Summers, Green, or Rowe, had not shown up, might have had a different outcome.
Yeah, they definitely could have. The way South Carolina was able to score, I mean, you look at Bruce Ellington with his 22 points. He was a pretty good guard, and they had some trouble stopping him. Gave up a lot of open looks, it seemed like, particularly in the second half. Maybe that's still some confusion there on the defensive side, I'm not sure. But they're going to need to lock down like they did toward the end of the first half when they held South Carolina to just 2 field goals in the final 9 minutes. That was what they needed for the whole game. They only got it for a half of a half.
That 14-0 run in the second half gave him a 17-point edge and able to hang on. If you look at some of the numbers, Dan, see South Carolina, 20 turnovers, just 11 assists. Michigan State better there. Michigan State shot much better. 54.7% for the game, just 35.7% for South Carolina. Should have been a big Michigan State win, but it wasn't. That's a show of concern, but The fact is Michigan State knows now some things it has to work on. It's had some problems in recent years shooting free throws early in the season. This seems to be no exception, but Michigan State going to have to play better than that in Maui, and certainly going to have to play much better than that when they play Duke in Durham on December 1st.
Yeah, and another number that jumped out at me was 44. That's South Carolina rebounds, including 21 offensive boards. Now, that's something Michigan State usually does against a Division II school. You don't see that happen to Tom Izzo teams. So I think that was puzzling also, and that'll be something where maybe an extra minute or two of the war drill in practice can clear up this week.
I don't remember a time where a team got 10 more offensive rebounds than Michigan State. But that's what happened tonight. Michigan State survives by 9 points, 82-73 here at Breslin Center. Jack Ebling with Dan Kilbridge, Full Court Press for SpartanTailgate.com.